Hi there. Welcome to New Tracks Modeling. New Tracks is an exciting new digital opportunity to obtain mentoring to help you improve your modeling. You will meet talented modelers and manufacturers from all over the world who share their model building skills and artistic advice. Improve your modeling and increase the confidence in your modeling efforts. Share your building efforts with fellow modelers and have some fun doing it. The shows are live on Zoom and YouTube, so be sure to join in and ask your questions. Now here is New Tracks founder and your host, Jim Kello, NMRA.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We really do appreciate it. Hope you'll come back often and tell your friends about us. Before we start the show, I want to turn to Father Ron Walters for the show's prayer. Father Walters, welcome.
O God, as we create in miniature the world around us, may we marvel at the beauty and genius which created the world and instilled in us a portion of your great knowledge and wisdom. Give success to the work of our hands, O God. Amen.
Thank you so much, Father. We appreciate everything that you do for our show. Now I want to turn to the sponsor for the show, Brennan's Model Railroading. If we could run the video, please, Phil.
For over 25 years, Brennan's Model Railroading has been offering unique products for the O-scale market. Our flagship product, Brennan's Better Ballast, was an instant hit and continues to be the industry leader. Its prototypical size and natural color blend of real crushed granite make it the choice for discerning modelers. Since then, we've developed a complementary line of natural ground cover materials. Additionally, we offer craftsman kits that anyone can build with complete photographically illustrated instructions that assume you've never done this before. The Sonky Wanky Coffee Company is the latest and the fourth kit to be added to our ongoing and highly popular limited edition Ellison Tribute series. These kits take Ellison's scratch-built iconic structures to a new level with Dennis spin. The idea being that if Frank were alive today, this is how we would build these models using modern methods and materials. Use the QR code to visit our website.
And now I want to introduce Bob Davidson, who is the chairman of our scholarship committee. This will be the last time, really, that we can talk about applicants applying for our scholarships for this year, because July the 1st is the cutoff date. So, Bob, this is your last opportunity.
That's it. Get them while they're hot.
That's it.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, as Jim said, we've got a week and a half left. And I'm sure some of you are probably tired of hearing the pitch, but this is so important to our hobby, to the future of our hobby. And frankly, there is still time. If there's someone out there who has been thinking about applying but haven't because they think it's too onerous or anything, it really is not. There's just a few pictures and a short essay, and then just filling out the forms. It can all be done online. So please, if you know of anyone who has a young son or daughter, or not even young if they're in college, and they're modelers, and doesn't have to be strictly railroad modelers, but modeling, scratch building, please, get the word out, see if you can encourage them to apply. The saddest thing will be is if there's someone out there who comes to us later and says, geez, I just never heard of this. This would be great, but no one told me about it. So we've been doing the best we can. We're now listed up on scholarships.com as one of the scholarships that's available. And if you go there and search for a model railroading scholarship, the New Track Scholarship comes up. We've been trying to work with guidance counselor associations around the country. We haven't had much luck, but we continue to work at that. as a credit to all of the New Tracks family, interestingly enough, the fundraising was the easy part. We're now really challenged with trying to get the word out and getting students motivated to come forward and apply for these scholarships. So it's hard to believe it's only been not even 2 years since we started this. And as of August of this year, we will have awarded 4 scholarships already. So this is a successful program. We need to get the word out so that we get more students involved, that they understand. And we're working through some changes that'll be coming up, how we disperse the money and how it can be used. We're learning as we go. The program is good. You know, those of you who remember last year, Ethan Bernstein, who was our inaugural recipient, how much this meant to him and how much this encouraged him to stay involved in our hobby. So that's really the bottom line. We're coming close, you know, to a dead end, and we need to keep these kids interested, get these kids interested, because it's nothing less than the future of our hobby, which we all love so much. So if you can, if you have a club meeting or anything in the next week or so, if you just know of someone that you've seen at one of your club meetings, even if they're not ready this year, if they're not a senior this year, but if they will be next year, make them aware of the scholarship. Have them go to newtracksmodeling.com/scholarship. Look at it and be aware of it. That's our challenge right now, and I know that you'll all help us out, and we appreciate it. And next thing you'll be hearing from us, well, we're going to do a thank you thing in a couple weeks, but then towards the end of July, we'll be announcing this year's recipients, and it'll be very exciting. And then we'll move on to the 2025-26 scholarship year. So we're all very excited. I hope you all realize what a great job you've done in supporting this scholarship. So thank you, Jim.
You know, it's funny, but when you stop and think about it, like Bob says, it's only been 2 years. And before that, no one had really thought about it. Walters was the first company that came out for a scholarship, and they did it about a year before we did. So for the last 3 years, you know, we're trying to start something that's never been done before in the history of this hobby, if you can believe that. We've never tried to encourage or help the young people coming along in our hobby. And I think that's a crying shame. Anyway, we're trying to do it now, and with your help, we're very successful, in my opinion. So thank you so much for everything that everybody has done so far. And Bob, you particularly, you've just done an outstanding job. Thank you so very much.
No, you're very welcome.
All right, with that said, let's start our show. And the first one that I want to talk to is Jamie Bothwell, who is the host for S-Scale Modeling. And the sponsor for that part of our show tonight is the National Association of S-Gaugers. So if we could run their video,
something a
Phil.
little different in your model railroading? The National Association of S-Gaugers suggests you take a look at S-Scale. An S-Scale model is just 36% longer than an HO model, but it's 2.5 times the volume. The larger size translates to increased ease of maintenance, more durable details, and improved electrical and mechanical reliability. S-Scale modelers use accurately proportioned wheels and track systems with KD-style couplers. Exceptional S-Scale models and layouts are being built in both standard and narrow gauge. Locomotives and rolling stock are available from a number of manufacturers in both ready-to-run and kit form. Equipment is available both new and through an active secondary market. There are numerous manufacturers of track, buildings, vehicles, and details, both ready to run and in kit form, available for those who love to build. And many S modelers enjoy kit bashing and scratch building in the larger size S offers. To learn more, visit the website of the National Association of S-Gaugers. Here you will find the history of the scale, information about clubs in your area, see layouts and connect with current manufacturers and online groups, plus much more. In short, the website has everything you'll need to explore model railroading in S-Scale today. Come on board and visit soon.
Jamie, welcome, and I really do appreciate you hosting this segment of our show for us.
Well, well, thanks, Jim. I'm happy to do it. It was interesting. When I watched that video, I see layouts of people. It's funny. S Scale. We're a small band, and I recognized all those people who had layout pictures on. So I was like, oh yeah, there's Bob's layout. Oh, there's Dick's layout, and so anyway. Well, those of you who know me know that I like S Scale, and they also know that I like passenger cars. So I thought today I would talk a little bit about how you can model passenger cars in S Scale. So, let's see, like the video said, let's see, if I share my screen, I want what, this one?
The upper left is the screen you see, and if we see the same thing, we see exactly what you see. So the upper left window that's on there, the upper left.
But that's my desktop. Is that what I
Yeah,
want?
just share your
Okay.
desktop, and that way we see
Okay.
what you see.
All right, that's fine then. Okay,
Yeah.
so now I'm seeing Zoom here. Okay, so let's see, let's go back to here. So like the video said, go to the nasg.org website. And then I got to put this away because I'm hiding myself here. So if you go to the product gallery, and this is a bit of a construction right now, but if you come down here, just scroll your way down, rolling stock, and you want S rolling stock. I'm not going to talk about narrow gauge passenger cars today. I mean, that's a whole nother, oh, that was really bad. Okay, well, I'll get to that in a sec. Gotta stop talking with my hands. Anyway, so I'm not going to talk about narrow gauge stuff. That's not my field of expertise. But if you come down here to model type, so I went to rolling stock, I went to S standard, I went to model type, and then if I just scroll down and you get down around passenger cars. All right, and so there's all sorts of passenger cars. Baggage cars, heavyweight baggage cars, this, that, and the other thing. Several. There's all sorts of passenger cars. And then again, that sort of tells you the history of S-scale passenger cars, kind of everything that's ever been available. America Models, which was a brand that was shown in the video, they really come out. They cover a number of brass models, but they cover 4 different lines of passenger cars. They have some Bud cars, which are a little short. They have some Superliner cars, the Amtrak Superliner cars, which you can see right here, which are also a tad short. They also have some lightweight cars. Now, the lightweight cars aren't in production anymore, but you can find them on the used market occasionally. And then they also have some heavyweight passenger cars. Let's see, there's that. I think that's an American Models one right there. But if you go to americanmodels.com, click, so several different heavyweight sleeping cars, but American Models is certainly one of them. And then when they say there's 48 of them, what they mean is there's an undeck, 48 different, not, American Models, every time American Models has a road name, that's considered a new one. So anyway, but there's a nice Canadian National one. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 10-1-2. Okay, so we also have a 12-1. Anyway, so those are sort of your options to get into the easy peasy, so to speak. So you can see what's available, what's been available, take a look. It's all good. Now, if you want to put some details on your passenger cars, one of the companies that has a lot of stuff for us is a company called Precise, the S-scale products. They make other stuff too. They make products from other scales, but S-scale. So these are but they have a lot of underframe detail parts, which of course people like me get all gaga over because it's fun. They also have some roof vents, so that's some other stuff too. But again, Precise. You can get to them, just Precise, what is it, precise.com, and you can scroll your way over there from there. So you can see they offer a lot of underframe and roof detail parts for both heavyweight and lightweight passenger cars. There's a couple of companies. Let me just see, stop the share here for a minute. Let's go back. Okay. There are a couple of companies that offer sides, either laser cut or milled. This company is called Laser Horizons. To tell you the honest truth, I'm not sure they're around anymore. I don't know if the guy's still cutting stuff. But this is a guy that's in Ohio. Laser Horizons. He used to cut sides, and he has about every passenger car you could ever want. So you go to S, you say, well, it's S scale. I don't have I can't get the Broadway Limited in S scale. Yes, you can. He's got all the car sides. Okay, I can't get the 20th Century Limited. I don't, yes, you can. He's got all the car sites. Another company is called Union Station Products. And this is a Union Station side. You can see there's kind of that's the interior piece of like plexiglass and then the exterior layer. And both Union Station and Laser Horizons would cut you sides in a variety of thicknesses of plastic, or at least these guys have the two thicknesses, two pieces of plastic. And the idea is that you glue them together and make them a little thicker, a little sturdier. And then you would glue these onto the side of an American Models car. So you're using the American Models as sort of a core kit. There are some issues with that. Again, they're not necessarily in production, so they're a little bit hard to find. You can find them around, but there are some issues. And then this particular Laser Horizon side is about, what is that, 5/10 of an inch or something like that? Not 5/10, 5/100 of an inch. So it's a little thicker, but you can also get them in 1/100 of an inch, and then those would be an overlay side. So you'd put that over a core kit. Okay. But what S-Scale, we didn't have a real core kit. And I don't know, about 2-3 weeks ago, somebody mentioned a core kit from Union Station Products. And I was like, what? Because, I like to think I know what's going on in the S-Scale marketplace, especially in the passenger car world. But there, lo and behold, there you go. There's an S-Scale core kit. Now that's the one end and the roof. I put it on, and the other end I haven't glued on yet. Now, a little tip for you. I found that they didn't sit quite square enough. I put a little piece of plastic. I don't know if you can see just right in there. I put a little piece of, I think, 030 plastic, on either side, and that straightened out the end. So it made it a lot better. So there's a tip for you. So I'm trying to, fit the sides to, one of my goals here, something I've been working on is to, fit the side to the core kit so I can have a nice car. So I don't have to use the American Models cars as core kits anymore. I can just buy these. Now, let me just take a quick, let's see, share again, click this button. Whoops, share. Okay. Okay. So we're done with pre-size. We're done with NASG. Okay. So here is the Union Station Products homepage. Okay. Now, just so in case you didn't know, that particular car shown right there on the homepage is an S-Scale model. All right. And again, I told you, I know that's Bob Hogan made that car. I know the guy who made that car. I can tell just by looking at the backdrop on his layout. Okay. So anyway, come down here. Here's all the different railroads. You can get lots of different cars from different railroads in there. But here are the core kits. Lo and behold, they had core kits. And I clicked an S-Scale core kits. And they have an O or S-Scale core kit, not just for a Pullman Standard car, which I bought, but also a Bud car and an ACF car. So if I click this, all right, I can select, do I want Pullman Standard, do I want Bud, or do I want ACF, right? American Car and Foundry. I can get a core kit for any of those. Now, I bought the Pullman Standard one. If you know your passenger cars, what you know is if it's got a fluted roof, it's pretty much going to be a Bud car. Okay. So the Bud cars obviously are going to have a fluted roof. I'm not entirely sure what the American Car and Foundry, how that roof differs from the Pullman Standard roof. I guess I'll just have to buy one and find out. So anyway, but I was quite surprised to see that. And let's see if I can navigate my way back here. And then I thought, well, gosh, look, they've got underbody detail. I wonder what the lucky HO guys get out of that. And I looked and I saw this, and lo and behold, it's 3D underbody. So what that means is that they can just resize it. So they'll sell it to you in any scale you want. So I said, okay, send me an S-Scale one. There you go. And what I was upset about just a minute ago is that I had all the underbodies on a piece of, I was painting them. So I had them on I got to stop the share here. I had them on this piece of manila envelope and I bumped into it. And so now I only got the one left on the piece of manila envelope and all the rest of them are flying around on the floor here somewhere. So, but I'll just pick up a couple. That looks like an air conditioner. That's nice. I need one of those. So this would be this is a propane tank. And I believe that's Waukesha subcooler. There's a battery box, and I don't know what that little thing is, maybe a generator. But the thing with the weird lines on it is a battery box of some sort. All right. And then that's an AC compressor right there. That's a generator. So, and then that, I believe that's another air conditioner of some sort. Now, if you're somebody who cares about this stuff, like me, what happens is they gave you this sort of random assortment with, I don't know, 25 or 30 different things on it, which is a lot of fun. But, if you're modeling a specific railroad, then, maybe your railroad didn't use that kind of battery box. Maybe they didn't use this kind of water tank. So, you're getting parts that you probably don't necessarily, that may or may not work for your railroad. But still, in S scale, we are happy with what we get because we don't always get a lot of love from the manufacturer. So the fact that this guy's willing to make this in S scale, I'm thrilled about. And so I was more than willing to slap down a few dollars to get a look at what he had going there. So anyway, a lot of fun there. I haven't really glued anything on yet. I haven't used any of the bits yet, but when I get that core kit all lined up, I will try to do that. So, but I was really excited because air conditioners. Okay, so one of my goals in life is air conditioners. If I've said this before, maybe on this particular channel, but if you go to see a train at a museum, if they've got a preserved train, it's very likely the water tank and maybe the battery boxes are still the original parts, but if they've replaced anything, it's probably going to be the air conditioner. And so trying to, run down and photograph and measure different types of original air conditioners. And of course, pictures of the stuff underneath the cars, it's always in the dark, so it's hard to see. So, but may we have a link for those 3D underbody parts? Yes, let's try that one more time. Okay, I'll share the screen. This we go. Okay, share screen, clicky, clicky. Okay, so it's Union Station products. Let's just go back to the beginning here quick. All right, so there's, no, that's underbody. Okay, home. Okay, so unionstationproducts.com. And then you just find what you want. So you want underbody detail kits, there you go. So now they do have some stirrup steps in HO, and they have some battery boxes and AC parts in HO also. I actually bought a set of those because I wanted to see what they look like. But they have a few of those left. But and then you can get them in any scale. Well, maybe not N, I don't know. You can get them in HO, O, or S. Oh, they do them in N scale. I'll be darned. Okay, so you can even get them in N scale if you're that crazy. You want to put all those bits under your N scale cars. So anyway, so let me see if I can put that into the chat. So let's see. Try. UNIONSTATION. All right, I think that's what it is. Oh yeah, somebody beat me to it. All right, they put it up already. Okay, so what do I do? That okay. Is that all right? So there you go. That's what I got for today.
Well, how about talking for just a minute or so on your upcoming national convention that you're the chairman of?
Okay, well, I was just going to say, tune in next time for live from the NASG convention. So we're going to talk to the wild species of S-scalers. We're going to try to corral some S-scalers and talk to them live and in person. That ought to be exciting. So yes, I got some really good. I got some good news about our convention today. We sold out the room block, so we sold enough rooms that the hotel is going to welcome us aboard. So that's all good. We don't have to pay any extra money. Now, if we could just sell tickets on the tour. Anybody wants to go on a train tour, run an RDC tour on the Blue Mountain in Reading on August the 18th, I think it is. Let me know, email me or contact me through the website if you're interested in going on that tour. That's out of it'll be out of Reading, Pennsylvania. Quite an interesting excursion. Unfortunately, I will be corralling vendors in the vendor hall, so I don't think I'll be able to go. And when you heard my phone ring just a minute ago, that was the guy who's running the tour, so I have to get back to him as soon as I get off the phone here. So Anyway, so yeah, if you're curious, stop by, come by to Harrisburg, August. Well, if you wanted to come by for the day, the best day to come would be Friday, which I believe is the 19th. And Saturday the 20th, probably not bad either. So I'd have to check my calendar, but I'm pretty sure that's those would be the Friday and Saturday would be your best days to see what S-Scale has to offer.
Jamie,
Yes.
you keep saying August.
Oh, August? Gosh, yes, right. July. Sorry, July. Thanks, Phil.
You're welcome.
Oh yeah, that'd be bad. You'd show up a month late. Where the
And
hell
I'm-
are the S-Scalers?
I wondered what convention he was talking about, but
Okay.
I was gonna let him strangle himself just a little bit longer.
Okay, right. I'm sorry. Yes, July. You have 1 month from today. So the best day that you should show up would be July the 19th. If you wanted to come for one day. If you want to come for 4 days, we'd be happy to have you show up on the 17th. So running another little tour that day, plus a potential tour of the Amish country. So if you're, if you'd be interested in seeing something, bring the wife along. So
Jamie, thank you so very much, and best of luck on your convention, and look forward to seeing what you got for show and tell from your convention next time.
yeah, I hope it's just going to be, on the Wednesday night, we'll just be kind of starting up. So it won't be, there won't be a whole lot to see, it won't be as exciting as if I could go around, say, on Friday night or Saturday night and show you layouts or something. But anyway, we'll talk to some S-Scalers, see what they say. And then maybe in August, I will have some photos from like the model room or whatever, displays and whatnot. So
Oh, that's great. And for the for the layout tours and so forth, take some photos or video and so forth. Send it to Martin and put it in the newsletter.
okay, I'll try to do that.
That's great. Thanks so much.
Jamie, before you run, we had one YouTube question. Do you know if anyone has done 1980s or later New Jersey Transit or Amtrak in S-Scale?
I don't know of any. There's one. It's funny you should mention this. I was just talking to a guy last week, and he just emailed me tonight about producing an Amfleet car in S-Scale. So there's at least one guy who's roughly interested in passenger cars on a small level, and also a more modern bent. I don't know of anyone. I don't know what Laser Horizons might have for sides to try and produce those cars. I tend to aim a little more toward the 50s myself, so I know what's available there. S-Scale and modern modeling, or we're not always the bestest of friends. I mean, there's a few things out there, but we're not. It's not. It's we're a bunch of old guys. We like steam engines and whatnot. So, but there are a few of us out there who like the modern stuff. And but like I say, I don't know what. We do have a Superliner set. Again, that's I don't know that's currently available, but they are available here and there. So, but that's what I can tell you. I don't know anybody who's doing Jersey Transit per se. So,
Thanks so much, Jamie. Really appreciate all. See you next time.
all right, see ya. Good night.
Now, that's S-Scale. Well, there's a whole nother part of the S-Gauge modeling community, and that's S-Gaugers. S-Gaugers normally are modelers and have a lot of American Flyer. It's much like the Lionel tree railers versus the O-scale modelers. But S-Gaugers are also modelers. And so now we'd like to have S-Gaugers talk about what the S-Gauge market is and what S-Gauge modeling is all about. And we have a company called American Models, whose owner is Karen Bashipa. And Karen, I looked for you a few minutes ago and you weren't here yet. Are you here yet? Then I don't know what the problem may be. She may be having a problem logging in. But to host this segment of it is the person who is really the spokesperson for S-Fest in October of this year in St. Louis. His name is Joel Weber. And Joel is an S-Gauge modeler and is going to host this segment of our shows for us. So Joel, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm technologically challenged and I haven't figured out how to turn my monitor on because most of the time I don't use it. So you can't see my face, and that may be to your benefit. Hopefully you can hear me.
I can hear you fine.
Joel,
Phil, can
Okay.
you-
Joel, just real quickly, what kind of device are you using?
I'm looking at a laptop that's running Windows 11.
Okay, so we are seeing a video image of something. So if you look at the bottom of the Zoom window, see where it says stop video?
Stop video.
Look
Yes.
at the bottom. So just to the right of stop video, there's a little up arrow. Click that up arrow. Click on the up arrow just to the
Okay.
right. There's a little hashtag. Click on that. Does it give you some choices of
It does, and I've got a camera on there.
Yep, because your camera is on. We're just not seeing much. Do you have something over the camera by any chance?
No, I do not.
Oh well, yeah. You only
And I
have
don't
one.
typically use my camera because, for work, I use a separate monitor. So my laptop's actually closed most of the time. I don't really have it turned on.
Well, does it where it says select the camera at the top? Are there two cameras listed?
There's same as system, and there's HP HD camera, which I assume is because it's an HP laptop.
Click that one. Click the second
I have
one.
done that. I have done that.
Okay. And then if you click same as system, try that too and see if that works.
That's what it was on originally.
Yeah, it's what we're seeing a camera that's kind of pointed towards a dark space.
Is the
and
laptop
I
low?
mean, the camera's pointed right at my face, and I don't consider myself a dark space, so I'm not really sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Oh well.
I'm kind of hoping that share
we can
screen
hear
is
you.
going to work because I want to talk. I want to show some pictures as I
Go
talk.
ahead and share screen. That's fine, and we'll just let you talk.
And I'm hoping that will work for me. Let me see here. Share screen. I've got. Nice. I'm not even sure how to do that. Because share screen should show what I've got going on.
So click on share screen at the bottom.
Uh-huh.
And it should open a window with a bunch of pictures. When you click on share screen, you should get a window that opens up that's got a bunch of different video images. Did that happen?
Yes. No, it has not. All right, now it has.
Okay, so click on the
So
upper.
I'm gonna share.
Wait.
Okay. Can you see a picture of a bridge?
There you go. Yes, we can.
Okay, so fine. So
Yeah.
I'll just start talking, and now I know how to get a picture up here. And frankly, you're better off looking at a picture than me anyway, so that's fine. Briefly, I've been playing around with S-Gauge and American Flyer since the early 90s when I moved to Atlanta, and my parents sent me the two trains that we had when I was a kid. And my neighbor was an American Flyer guy, got all excited and introduced me to the swap meet market for American Flyer, and an addiction was born. And so here I am today, and I love playing with the trains, but I was born in 56, so by the time I was aware of life, steam engines had come and gone. I remember being in Grand Island, Nebraska, and we heard a train in the distance. We ran to the corner to see if yellow engines or red engines were going to go by, because the UP and the Burlington route both went through Grand Island. So I don't remember steam engines as a child. Certainly appreciate them and enjoy them and that sort of thing, but that was not part of my growing up. Trains on a table are fine to me, but I also have gotten the hook into scenery. So we moved to suburban Chicago, and I built a layout in the basement, and I was doing a lot of scenery, and then got into some other hobbies and really slowed down my development, and we moved, and I tore that layout down. Fortunately, the center of it went to the basement of a friend's house, so it didn't completely go in the dumpster. But now I'm down here and rebuilding a layout, and my grandson thinks that my trains are the bomb and that Pop Pop is awesome. So really getting re-energized. So to me, modeling is about need. And one of the things, for instance, I needed was a bridge to cross a chasm here. And what I had built in Naperville was I took some plasticville truss bridges, modify, you know, they're basically built to set on a table. You put the bottom in, you run a track on it. They're literally resting on a table. Well, I built the understructure of the bridge for them and turned them into more of a model bridge and had 2 pair of them running parallel. But they were too long and too wide when I switched from flyer spacing to more of a scale spacing using American Models track on the top of the layout. They were too wide. So, and also 2 of them were too long and 1 of them were too short. So I said, you know, I need to build my own bridge, and voila, there it is. I literally drew my initial design on the back of a piece of Christmas wrap because it had a grid on it, a blueprint that would make most people shudder. But it gave me the ability to measure angles and start to cut pieces. And I built my jig to glue it up. And ultimately, what I got is what you see. The building underneath it is a motel. I call it the No-Tell Motel. It came about because in my previous layout, I had those other bridges I talked about went over a river scene, and I had some O-gauge children from Artista that in S-gauge would be young adults, and those were my swimmers. Well, like, okay, I don't have a river scene in my new layout. So I thought a hotel with a swimming pool. So you don't see the swimming pool yet because I haven't built it yet, but I'm going to have a graduation party at the No-Tell Motel and the kids are all hanging out at the swimming pool. So that's how I come up with stuff. Whatever fits the layout gives me something to work with. That building was built, the undercarriage of it is basic balsa wood. I had bought some cardstock brick facing or stone facing years back at a train store that I walked through, had it sitting in the cabinet. And so that's the facing of the building, and the side is plastruct siding, and plastruct material is the roof. And I've got, and I apologize, the name is escaping me, the doors and the windows, which are S-gauge doors and windows, S-scale doors and windows, complete the scene. Frankly, the fact that it's 4 units in office is what fits in the space. So that's kind of how I do things. I make up what I need to fit the space I've got. One of the things I had on my previous layout, and I now have on this layout, and I think it's coming through. Hold on here. I'm trying to bring through a different picture. And it doesn't seem to be translating. New share. Okay, let's try that. Being technologically challenged. What I was trying to show is in my previous layout, I built, when I set up the table, I put in it because it was 6 feet deep. I put a 2x2 space in the layout. Here we go. Okay, do you see the building?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I had a 2 foot by 2 foot space in the layout, and I'm a logistics person. I've been in warehousing all my life, and I've worked a lot of years in refrigerated warehouse. So I thought, well, what's the best thing to wrap a 2 by 2 space is build a warehouse. So 4 walls, that roof lifts out. I have now detailed the dock. I've got to add a loading ramp to the grade level door on the right. I've got 5 dock doors in the middle. I've got an office to the right and the mechanical building to the left, all built to support, in essence, a 2 by 2 space, and the rail docks on the back side, which is yet to be detailed. So to me, that was, I need to hide the space. I need to make it fit, and it needs to be something that works for me because of my background, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really about making something work for me. This is a concrete arch bridge I built because I needed, you know, that bridge or the trestle that you saw behind the trestle you see back here, which is just built out of wood to take the upper level across the lower level, needed to transition, and I needed to bring the track around, and the road from the layout or the warehouse goes underneath there. That bridge is built with 3 plies of 2-inch building foam, glued together, shaped, smoothed out with joint compound, sanded and painted. And it makes a nice concrete arch bridge that sets up the layout. So to me, I like working in scale size when I'm doing like doors, like the dock on my warehouse. Those dock doors are scale height from the ground. The doors themselves are a scale size. I've got the bumpers around them. This is all from my past in refrigerated warehousing. Obviously, a concrete bridge is pretty fluid. You can do a lot of different things. An arch bridge, like you saw earlier, is pretty fluid. I wanted it to make sense to the trains. I didn't want it overly tall, overly short. I wanted it to make sense. The details in it, I derived from, well, first off, the basic structure was derived from studying books that chronicled bridges. The final details I settled on literally by walking under a railroad bridge when my wife and I were walking the dogs, and I looked up in there and studied kind of what they did. And I had several thoughts about how I was going to do the upper trusses and or the upper connections. I'm not sure the right technical word for that. But once I walked onto that bridge, I knew what I wanted to do. And that's kind of how I roll. It's, you know, I certainly have, here's a bridge that I needed to come across through here. That's a piece of 1/2-inch plywood clad with plastic or plastruct material that I detailed out and painted. The track goes across there. It's ballasted. If you look underneath it, it's a piece of plywood. But unless you crawl under the layout, which you need to do to get in the middle of the layout, you don't see that. So the part that you see is detailed. And of course, I have to have mountains. And you kind of see this. Does my mouse show up on the screen?
Yes.
That area that I'm kind of highlighting, that piece comes out. And when I'm done painting it, that will be relatively hidden, because in this mountain, if the train derails, I need to be able to get to it. So I literally will be able to pull that piece out. I did that with my corner mountain in Naperville, where I was probably 8 feet down one wall and 4 feet down the other. And I had a 2-track upper and 1-track lower that went through the mountain. And I had 2 panels that I could pull off. And unless I pulled them off, anybody who came to visit the layout never knew they were there. I painted them in place so that when you paint them and you put your grass in there and your trees and this and that, it just obscures the seam to the point, unless you know it's there, you don't see it. And I enjoy doing stuff like that. Another thing I did is this fire house was just a building front. So I built the building, but one of the things I did different, most of my buildings have a flat roof. In Chicago, a lot of your industrial and commercial buildings have these rounded roofs. So I took a piece of flat plastic, much like you'd make your flat roof, took a piece of that building foam, shaped it, smoothed it with either joint compound or spackle. I don't remember which, because it was enough years ago, and then painted it. And you see a lot of these round type roofs. When you're riding the L in Chicago and you're up above the buildings, you see these. And I thought I ought to have a building that looks like that. This is a kit that is all well and good, and the roof is off right now. But the thing I'm going to do with this, I've painted the walls with, I mean, I painted them a base color. I had an HO modeler come and teach me how to dry brush and make realistic looking brick. And we painted it, and then I dry brushed various elements on it. We sealed it. Ultimately, though, is what I'm going to do is build the whole inside with work platforms. This is an engine house. There'll be work platforms in there. I've already got people with machinery and things that you might use, you know, a table saw and stuff like that. I can't wait to have the time to model this. Right now, it's just sitting in its space on the layout, which is a dead end yard outside the layout, going down the one wall. So I like to model my buildings in my layout in Chicago was using what I call what is known as Gargrave's track, which is more like the old toy track in terms of size. The rails, the ties, they're oversized. And that was fine. I did it at the time because it was cheaper, it was quick. I could do that, but I always knew that when I moved from there, and I knew that someday we would, I was going to go to a more scale looking track. I'm not going to get rid of the high rail wheels and the big high rail couplers. I have too much rolling stock to convert. But I want the track to be scale because it fits better with the vehicles and the people and the buildings. You know, an S scale / S gauge, where we don't have a lot of stuff to work with in terms of buildings and some of those things. But one thing we do have a lot of is vehicles, because a lot of your vehicles are made in at or close to 1/64 scale. And there's enough people out there available that you can do great scenery in S scale. And I wanted my scenery to be S scale because a lot of my trains are American models and other manufacturers that, even though you can buy them with high rail wheels and high rail couplers, you can also buy them with scale wheels and scale couplers, but the car itself is the same. And they're so much better looking than the original American Flyer stuff that's what I run most of the time. They have, yes, sir.
Joel, I hate to do this, but we're out of time for this segment.
No, that's fine. I can ramble it, so I'm happy to be cut off. But that's kind of an introduction of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it.
And I think everybody can see that, you know, whether you're an S gauge or an S scale modeler, modeling is modeling. And that's why I think it's important to show people that are doing both. And Joel, I can't thank you enough for doing this, and look forward to seeing you again next month.
Very good.
Thank you. So now I want to turn to Chris Corse, who owns Conowingo Models, and Greg Cassidy, who doesn't own a company. He just builds models all the time. And they're going to handle our My Build segment for this show. And I understand we have quite a few people. So Chris, I'll turn it over to you and Greg.
Thanks, Jim. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Hi, I'm here.
All right. Let's see if we can oh, crap. You know what? I forgot to put Zoom up here. I'm sorry. I got it on one screen, forgot to put it on the other one. All right. Before we get while we're waiting for me to get my crap together here, I did put a survey in the chat. Please go ahead and fill that out. That will tell us.
While Chris is loading, I'll tell you, the survey is asking about our special theme My Builds. And we're trying to get more input to get more ideas of what people like. We have a number of choices of different themes. I think they're all great, but we're looking to get 6 suggestions so we know where to go for the next 12 months with the My Builds. And there's also a couple other questions there. And it's a real simple survey. And we'd appreciate it if everybody would go ahead and give us their input.
You need to redo it in chat. I don't see it in chat.
Okay.
Oh, it's in there. It's up near the top, though.
All right, there it is. Okay, I just reposted that. And then need to move this. All right, there we go. All right, now it's up on screen like it should be. All right, this month is June. The June challenge is water. Looking for boats, bridges, rivers, lakes, ponds, beaches, anything that's water related. Father Ron, not to spoil it, really embodied that. So we'll get to that shortly. All right. And my build, of course, is hosted by myself and Greg Cassidy. We've got the click for my build survey. I put that on there and I'm like, you know what? I'll bet you that's not going to work. And it doesn't. You can't click on that once you're in Zoom. So anyway, all right. First up is Greg. Looks like you've got 9 slides tonight, Greg.
Wow. I didn't know I
Yeah.
was sending that much.
Oh yeah.
And I'm surprised that I'm first. Usually Martin has that honor, but
Yeah.
all right, let's go.
All right.
Okay, so I sent in a couple of water features. This is the first one. This was a diorama that I built about 2 years ago. I had 2 Conowingo models that I had built that I thought went together really well, and I needed a diorama to showcase them and a couple other things that I was developing. So this is the Crunch Bridge, which I built a stream that went underneath. Next picture. And the other structure there is what's called Whispering Chapel. And I have those both together on roughly a 14 by 14 inch piece of foam. In order to make the water, I had carved it out of the foam, put in Envirotex, and then covered that with gloss medium from Liquitex and put in the ripples. Next picture. This is looking down on it from above, and you can see how I made the banks of the river, of the stream, out of Liquitex mud, or I'm sorry, AK mud, and then went ahead and filled it with the Envirotex and the gloss medium. I had to keep raising the bridge as I kept raising the water level, but you've heard about that before. Next one. And I went to get a couple of pictures with the sun behind it, because that way you really get the reflection off the water. And I thought that kind of enhanced the look of it. Plus, I like the way that all the shadows came out. Next one. Now, these are a couple pictures of my layout, which I'm in the process of adding more foliage to right now, more landscaping. But when I built it, I wanted a creek, and it runs from the backdrop all the way under the main line and out to the front of the layout. And you can see the stream portion of it on the left, and over on the right, it runs into what is essentially the banks of the Potomac River. And that's what I have there on the right. Ignore the lobster traps. There are no lobsters in the Potomac that far north. Next picture. The main reason that I had decided to put a stream was because before I was building the layout, I had found these cast hydrocal stone bridges, and I just fell in love with them. And I said, okay, well, if I have those, I might as well put a stream in place. And that's what led to it. And I'm glad now that I did it. It's something that I hadn't thought of until I got the bridge, but it was fun to do, and it's sort of a focal point of a part of the layout. Next picture. And here you can see where it runs up towards the back, and it curves to the right and goes up against the backdrop. Now, that bridge was actually an N-scale railroad bridge, but I turned it into a one-lane dirt road traffic bridge. It's removable, so I can get down and wipe the dust off of the water about every 12 months. Next. And here's where it curves and goes back to the backdrop underneath the main line. And this is very reminiscent of the Western Maryland's line as it was cutting across the Potomac River, going through Western Maryland. It bounced back and forth between Western Maryland and Virginia as the Potomac meandered along. And it cut through the mountains that would come all the way down to the Potomac River. And so you have a number of places where you have a bridge that leads right up to a tunnel entrance. And that's one of the things I wanted to model on my layout. Next. And then this is where the main line goes over the stone bridge that I had gotten. And then because it's sort of a glorified figure eight, the main line, after a long route, comes back and goes over itself. And that's what the upper bridge is. And if I do put on all of my coal cars at one time, I can actually have the train going over itself. But no, it's not the Tehachapi Loop. But anyway, those are my water features. I love working with Envirotex. I've used it on a couple of other dioramas. And as long as you make sure where you're pointed in isn't going to leak, I've had no problems with it. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I really, I can't get over the detail on that, on the stonework on that bridge. I mean, just look at that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And if you ask me now, I couldn't tell you who made it. I bought it back in probably the early 90s, before I really was building my layout, but I just knew I had to use it somewhere.
All right. Are there any questions for Greg before we move on?
I have one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit about how you do your undercoat for like paint, gravel? Like what do you use? How do you do that?
Yeah, for this one, I had put down just a brown paint, and then I glued some gravel in place, and I put in some little twigs and everything, and then poured the Envirotex. But this was done back in the mid-90s when I really was still kind of new at it. Nowadays, for the dioramas that I build, like that earlier one, I'll use a couple of texture, they're sort of like paints, they're acrylics. AK makes some mediums that they call mud, and they have another one that they call dirt. And after I carve out the base and I'll paint it to seal whatever I'm putting it in, then I'll put that stuff in, which once it hardens, it's pretty substantial. And then I'll go ahead and put in some rocks or stones or twigs or whatever is appropriate on the bottom of whatever stream or river I'm building. I like those AK products for that.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to kind of point out also is if I can get to the right screen here. All right. If you remember last month we talked about scenery and how much personally I like Martin Wahlberg stuff. I think a huge chunk of this stuff is Martin Wahlberg, isn't it?
Most of it is, yes.
Yeah, this is really what impressed me. I really like the birch on the trees on this one. And there was another photo in here somewhere, if I can find it. Yep, here it is. That tree on the right with all the moss on it. That is that's something special. How did you
That's some of that sagebrush that you get from out west. And there are a couple people on eBay and Etsy that sell the stuff.
Yeah. That stuff they just made everything just a little, well, actually there's a lot of Martin Wahlberg stuff on here, but usually just a little bit goes a long way, and in this case a lot went a huge way. So
and that's what I'll be applying to my layout. It's only taken me about 30 years to get around to finishing it.
Yeah, you can never finish it.
No, especially at my pace.
Yeah. Well, all right, any more questions for Greg before we move on? Oh yeah, let's go back to this photo. Notice right underneath the bridge, you've got that tint of the of a dirty, muddy water. Now that's fantastic. All right. Okay, now we will go on. Leonard Davis, are you up, Leonard? Okay, I don't think he is, but he looks like he had 7 slides we can go over. And this, I believe, let me go to my notes here real quick. This is Proto 48. It's an engine house at Chaffee. I'm not sure if this is a kit or if this is something he scratch built. But this is some remarkable work on this.
It's all scratch.
Oh, you're up?
No, I'm not Lee, but I know his stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. Can you speak to it then?
Well, to some degree.
Okay, all right, we'll go on to the next slide then.
It's a double window. He used two windows to do that.
Oh,
He sandwiches, I'm not sure what he uses, sandwiches the see-through stuff in between two windows. So if you look at it from the inside, you also see a window.
okay. And there's the exterior view. I think it looks pretty big.
Well, low scale.
Yeah. There's the back side of it. Looks like it got some drums and stuff covered up on the back side. Little electric meter on the back too. And an interior shot with basically a backup with the doors. And it's just very, very nice work. There's another interior shot. It's got that whole structure done. That looks really sharp. And a couple more pictures of the inside, some detail shots.
What is
What?
How was the roof made, Chris?
I don't know. He didn't say.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Okay.
All right. Looks like that was it for Leonard. So thanks for contributing. All right. And we will move on to Bob Farquhar. You up, Bob?
Yes, sir.
All right. Looks like you've got 2 slides tonight.
Just two, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This for the water.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second harbor I did. That part of it's not finished yet anyway, but that basically the building on the left, it's builders, sorry. Oh, jeepers, come on, Bob. The one on the right here is the Sierra West from Texas, that kit. Other one's the in Boston. Oh, jeepers. I'll think of it too late. Go to the next picture anyway.
Oh, fine scale miniatures.
No,
Yeah,
no,
looks like...
no. It's I'll get it. That one there, this all the water is done with Liquitex and or golden heavy gloss gel. Originally I didn't know whether I wanted to do with inland waterway or ocean, and I ended up doing an ocean thing. But the heavy gloss gel, you can see the waves in there as well. And the building on the right, the first one there, that's by Foscale. It's the harbor. I call it the Harbor Masters, but the next one too is a full steam ahead. Now they're out of business right now. And the problem I found that time with the Foscale kits, they're not built to scale. This is all HO scale, by the way. They're not built to scale. And the building to the left of that, the full steam ahead manufacturer, they're actually HO scale proper, and they overpowered the other building. There's about 2 inches of the building missing. I had to cut the bottom off the building to make it look more realistic. The next building, the weight building to the left of that, is the Sierra West from Texas. So is the next one. And the pier I built, scratch built the pier. All the piers are scratch built. And for the pilings, I used a 3/8 inch dowel and then burned them with a torch to get the Kyoto effect. And the barnacles are N scale ballast, gray ballast. And then you go around past the to the left there. The next building is builders in scale, and that's a dry dock. And the next one, that one is one I had a problem with because I've always Arkansas. Oh, I should have written it down, but anyway. It's a resin casting, and when I got it, it was really, really old, and everything was warped. I ended up throwing in the garbage, and I scratch built that. for the similar type of dimensions and everything. And yeah, the paint of the paint on the ocean is a Tamiya black green. It's called XF27 is the number, and it gets a nice deep looking water. And yeah, nice thing with the heavy gloss gel, you can make waves quite easily. Then you just touch the dry brush, a little weight on it, and helps. And the red building, the Beckham's, that's another fine scale miniature. Sorry, Foss scale, I should say. And there's another whole story for that one. But originally, that whole thing had great big mountains across the back, and I got it all done. There's 632 molds I did, and I didn't like it when I got it done. I tore it all out and put this one here in. And the very left-hand side there is a lighthouse, and I thought it was too small for that area, so I got a kit from France. There's big taller ones, about a foot tall, and it was all warped. I ended up throwing that in the garbage and scratch building the lighthouse my own. So anyway, that's it.
Cool. All right. Any questions for Bob?
Yeah, Bob, when are you going to build another layout?
I don't know. This is all stuff but gone. This most has all been sold, and I'm thinking of doing another one for sure. I like water, I really do.
Well, you do beautiful work.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, looks fantastic. Any more questions for Bob before we move on? All right. Well, thanks, Bob. Appreciate your showing us your wharf there. Okay. So we move on, and Tom Farrell's up next. Yep, Tom.
I'm here.
All right.
So this is my Salt River Basin on Shantytown. It's a waterfront portion of my ON30 Old Gothic, rustic Buffin Old Gothic Railroad. Everything you see there is scratch built, with the exception of that fishing boat, which is a Frenchman River Models boat. And I did this over a 9-month period, late last year and early this spring. Go to the next slide. A little closer. The idea here was to make every roof, for example, different, every shanty different, so that they're all shanties on the water, on the riverfront, but they didn't really have too much in common with one another. So they gives you a nice realistic look when everything looks different. And the shanty town is immediately behind the fishing boats. You can see those shacks. And I think everybody's seen a lot of this before, but if you go to the next slide. So there's the Frenchman River Models fishing boat. I just want to pontificate just how good these kits are from Frenchman River Model Works. That boat behind is scratch built, and the rusted out hull that's in the right-hand picture bottom left, that's from Frenchman River Model Works as well. Just from a humorous point of view, all my fishing shanties, or most of them, are named after Gilligan's Island characters, not to take this hobby too seriously. So Skipper's is the first structure I built for the waterfront. We go to the next slide.
Yep.
Yeah, that's scratch built. I built a kit, a Fosgate kit very similar to this for Sean Williams. And then I liked it so much, I scratch built one for myself. And it's interchangeable. You'll see another fishing boat that goes in and out of this scene. And the covered bridge is from my old layout. It used to be the centerpiece of my old layout. Okay. Yeah, so there's skippers, and these are artista figures. And I've mentioned this before, but figures really do bring these scenes to life. These are all pre-painted and just strategically placed. Makes for the appearance of action. Yeah. Okay, next one. There's Jim Seafood, fresh 7 p.m. every Wednesday, little parody there. And this was a Frenchman Rivers resin kit that I extensively modified to put a porch on there and a roof and a sign and whatnot. But it's a nice little building. Okay, next one. There's the professor's fishing tackle. This one was difficult to photograph, and I put a black piece of construction paper behind it. Otherwise, you'd see the wall of my layout room. Okay. This is a nice, handsome structure as well. These guys are playing cards there. The barnacles are, just like someone mentioned earlier, those are end scale ballast, just glued on there with Elmer's glue. The water is an epoxy mix with Mod Podge on top of it. Next slide. This is perhaps my favorite one of the group, Thurston's Bait and Tackle. Some fortunes go up, some go down. This is scratch built like everything else. And in the background there is Gilligan's 3-hour tour bait shop, little levity here. And again, the figures are really bring this to life. Okay. This is looking down the left-hand photo. It's looking down the road that leads to Shantytown. You can see the shanties in the background. And it really is a nice little scene. It's approximately, I think about 6 feet in length and only 24 inches in depth. At some point, it's only 12 inches in depth. And there's Gilligan's bait shop. You can see my spy there. Not exactly sure what he's doing.
Nobody
Right
is. That's why he's a spy.
Exactly. I think that might be it. Let's see.
Yeah, it is. It got the L at the bottom corner there. So that's the
Yeah,
last
so
one.
thank you for featuring me. And you said on the water, and I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, it's great. How's your knee doing, by the way?
Well, I was surprised I could talk my way through this because my wife made me take a narcotic right before.
Oh, it just makes the talking easier. That's all.
But it's so far so good.
Very good.
Yeah, so I'm going to cut out early tonight and go levitate in the other room. Okay.
All righty. Well, before we let you go, are there any questions for Tom?
Want to thank everybody for their support. You know, I'm on nearly a weekly basis, and I appreciate the interest. So we'll see you next week. Okay.
Yeah, fantastic modeling. Thanks for sharing, Tom.
Thank you.
Feel better.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we have a new entrant, Steve Halvarath. Halvarath. Am I saying that right? You up, Steve?
It's Harvath, actually. But
Harvath.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, looks like I botched the name. I'm
No
sorry.
worries. Well, yeah, I think I got 8 or so slides today.
Yeah, it looks like actually 18.
Wow. I don't know it. Well, anyway, we can go ahead and start. My modeling is in O scale, and it is my period is circa 1906, which I like because you can model wooden cars, but also early steel cars. So on the barge back there, you see a steel flat car and a gondola from, as well as these other things. So I really like doing the research and creating scenes that are based on real structures and boats and ships. This the tugboat in the foreground is called the Philadelphia, and it was a real tugboat, and some wonderful drawings, full-scale drawings were made when it was still a living ship. So the trick for me with using these documented boats is that most of the drawings that you find in historical sources are the full body of the ship, so that you got all the underwater parts that we don't want to show unless we got it up on the rocks or something. So finding the water line on a drawing, profile drawing of a boat is the tricky part for me. I love building the ship models as well as railroad models. And ship models, as some of you may know, are kind of a challenge because they aren't a rectangular cubical structure. They have curves in 3 or 4 directions. So you've got the bow is up high and it slopes way down to the center of the boat, and then the deck has to be curved so the water would flow off. It's an interesting thing.
Yeah. I think you're probably, I think you're right. I think that was a typo on those 18 slides. What scale is this, by the way? Sorry.
This is O scale 1/48.
Okay.
Behind the tugboat, you'll see there's a barge, transfer barge, number 2. That's again, my research kicked in because nobody's really published a image or a drawing or engineering drawing of a railroad transfer barge that I could find, except I happened to run across a picture of a crane barge, and it turns out that the engineer building the crane barge actually used a railroad transfer barge as the base. So I got the design for the transfer barge from that drawing. One other thing that's interesting in this image is that you'll see that that if you're up here in the captain's cabin, you can't see over the freight cars to the other side of your barge. So unlike other tugboats, I built this one with the sort of standard freight car, standard tugboat. And what a lot of railroads did that had these kind of tugboats, they added a little lookout. So that you could have your crew member up there and they could tell you what's coming on the starboard side or the port side of your barge. So next slide, please.
Sure.
So here is a diorama I was working on with some of my models, and you can see I do have a lot of different ships and boats in it. Over here is a front from a warehouse on a pier, and I found a historic picture of a pier structure in Seattle. So I recreated that. And again, I love the harbor scenes because they are so busy And they combine these freight railroad as well as freight boats. So a lot of my boats are actually freight boats. And this white one up here in the right on left is a scow schooner that from the San Francisco Bay. I found another drawing for it. But it is not a fancy yacht. It is a freight boat. So they would use them to haul hay from across the San Francisco Bay to the San Francisco itself or things like that. Next slide, I guess. So one of the things I'm really interested in is pier structures and water structures. This is a simple pier that would be for a fishing shack. This is the Poseidon Fish Company. For like your previous slides, I try to do Greek. So the tugboat is the Naiad, which is a Greek goddess, and this is Poseidon's Fish Company. And the boat in this scene is called a Florida Sharpie, and you can find wonderful drawings of fishing boats in some books that are historical documents. And again, I like the earlier comment about having these static figures in the scene. I think it does really brings things to life. So next slide, please. Well, one of my projects was to build a dredge. So this is the inside of a suction dredge that was used to build the sanitary sewer canal for Chicago. So I did a lot of research and I found out that the dredge in particular had a Westinghouse direct application to a big centrifugal pump. So I tried to build a model of that Westinghouse steam engine. Next slide, please. Well, there's the dredge. It looks like a stern-wheeler steamboat, but it had to have a lot of it had 4 boilers in it because it had to pump this the sediment out through the back pipe. So another thing that would often be crowded into your harbor scene would be a dredge to keep the sediment out of it. All right, next slide. So I mentioned that I like to model different kinds of wharfs and piers. This pier, as I found, and the warehouse behind it, on a book called Buildings and Structures of American Railroads. And this is a railroad wharf. You can see the one set of tracks runs along the outside of the warehouse. And this design of the pier itself is also based on real piers. This pier would have accepted major freighters, seagoing freighters. So it had to be very substantial. So it's got a lot of pilings under it. It's got, heavy duty framing on it. The little rowboat is also something I found in a book called, I think it's Boy's Life or something like that, a book about how a boy could become a fur trapper. And there was a design for a little rowboat in it. All right, next slide.
Yep. There we go.
Oh, so here I've combined, this is a diorama I built, and it includes that warehouse front, but it also has a transfer bridge on it with this timber framing lift structure for the bridge. The bridge itself is this steel structure. This was based on a design from the Great Lakes, so there wasn't a lot of tidal action, but they did have to change if the lake level went up or down. They had to be able to move the bridge up and down. So here you see a big counterweight that would help a small steam engine lift or lower the boat. So again, I model it early 20th century, so very few motor vehicles, a lot of horse-drawn vehicles are here. So I don't know if that's the last one or not, but
No, it looks like there's probably more. Let's see here. No, this is the last one.
okay. So as I said, I like to build model ships, and that's what you see in process there. That's a what's called a stone sloop. It would carry big granite slabs from the coast of Maine down to other parts of New England. So it's a very wide bodied ship, but also the same scale as the other ones. But that's an example of how I make the ships. These are bulkheads that are based on the line drawings from the historical record. So they like I said, they curve over this way to keep the water off, and they curve this way and then they have to have that shape in the bow to cut through the water. So it's a challenge. So that's my contribution today.
All right. Is this are these styrene or various
Well,
materials?
let's see. The tugboat, well, let's see. These are all basswood and balsa. I have built this little freight boat. Behind it is styrene. That is one of the challenges is, of course, of a harbor scene is that a full-size freighter would be like 200, 300 feet long. So I had to find the smallest freight steamer that I could find. And this is a steamer from England, Scotland, called a Clyde Puffer. So, but it is actually a freight boat, but I built it out of styrene. So I could put rivet detail on it and things like that.
Right. So the one in the foreground, what's that one made out of?
It's basswood.
That one, oh wow.
And then I put some blocking inside to get the shape correctly. That's balsa wood.
Okay. Wow. Really nice job on that. All right. See, this is a very good example of why we like to do these challenges. It kind of pulls us as modelers in different directions and shows us all the different things we can do with this hobby. And this is exactly what the My Build challenges are all about. So, are there any questions for Steve before we move
Steve,
on?
that's a beautiful ship. Do you wet the basswood to get it to curve like that?
Yeah, actually, you steam it.
Okay.
I take over the microwave and I get a Pyrex pot plate and and I do it when my spouse is out of the house, so she doesn't see me.
Uh-oh, she might catch this later. You should have kept mum.
but you steam these planks and then you can tack them onto the frame, and they hold as they dry out, they'll hold the shape. So
wow,
then
that's beautiful. That's real artistry.
Yeah, I can't get over the detail on the bow. That's incredible. All right, any questions for Steve before we move on? All right, well, thanks for sharing, Steve. It's very much appreciated. All right, next up we have Sherry Johnson. Looks like, Sherry, you've got 8 slides tonight.
Okay.
All right, you ready to roll?
Ready to roll.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so unlike y'all, I don't really have any huge layouts. I basically build little dioramas to showcase the products that we make, so I can take them to shows and people can see what's going on. And this was my first attempt at making water to show off our kayaks and canoes. And with this, I just pretty much painted the bottom with some blue paint, sprinkled in a little bit of white, and then layer by layer, I built this up using future floor polish. I found out later that they actually make water acrylics, but I didn't have any then, so I used what I could here, trying to get the ripples in and trying to get the little ripples in around where the oars and stuff are. Got some flamingos over there who've got their feet wet. A little surfer dude who's like, yeah, I'm not interested. The dirt in the background is actually dirt from my field. It's actually just a background shot of just to make it look more realistic. So next slide.
Okay.
Just a little close up here showing the ripples in the water around the kayak and the water around the flamingo's feet, and a little greenery there for them to hide. I tried to run the water up the dirt edge there to kind of meld it in, but I didn't really know what I was doing with the shore. So it looks okay, but next time my next one I did a little bit better. Next slide. And this is a little surprise. We got some marshy lands over here and some tall ferns. And we have an alligator sneaking out, going after the guy in the kayak. And again, you can try to see where I molded the water with the little alligator's feet and around there. And needless to say, that kayaker's looking over there going, it's time to paddle out of here. Next slide. This is from my second attempt at doing water. And if y'all had watched the 2 segments that I did on making the revenuers with Invisitrax, you'll spot these beavers and this water from that particular scenery. The revenuers actually walk around this. Got some cattails over there, some beavers in the water. And this time I actually put a little dirt and sand and stuff in the bottom. And there's some twigs, which the one beaver has in his mouth, which you really can't see. I didn't quite get this finished. You can kind of see my other green stuff over there. I've got the wax that I use to stick it in the ground. I haven't got the details in the dirt on that yet. But this was my second attempt, and this time I actually used some tinted acrylic that I found at Hobby Lobby that is used for making water. So this is kind of like a little swampy, marshy area that the beavers are in. And I love the cattails. I found those at Hobby Lobby as well, and I just had to use the cattails. I just thought they were so cool. Next up. Got it, there we go. Also on the same waterfront, we've got a nice, he could either be a nice black snake or he could be a water moccasin. I haven't really decided, but he's coming out of the water here on the shore, kind of sneaking up behind the bush. And actually my thought was he could jump out and attack the revenuers, but then I just decided to have him curled up there. And needless to say, all these peoples and figures and kayaks and snakes and beavers are all things that Cat's Paw manufactures, because that's what I do, and that's what my dioramas do, is they kind of showcase our products. So pretty sure that's regular sand that I got from my neighbor's sandbox that I was using from the shore. And it worked pretty good. You can kind of see the crinkles there and the dirt and the stuff in the bottom. It's trying to get multicolor in there. So I got the light streaks and the dark streaks. Work in progress. Learning from you masters. Next slide, please. This is kind of the big shot of the Reveneur scene where you can see the whole big pond kind of sitting in the middle. And I just thought that was cool because you've got the reflection of the trees and stuff on top of the water. And it kind of looks lighter around the edges, and you got the beaver splashing around. So I just wanted to give you a full shot of the actual pond there with the cattails and the other greenery sitting around it. And of course, up on the hill, you've got Moonshine Mike running his still up there. So next, please. And this one, the water is actually just cardstock that I got from the area where you do your scrapbooking. And we've got a gentleman out there with his kayak, and he's being circled by sharks. And hopefully we got the video here. Do we have the video of him being circled by the sharks? Awesome.
Yep. Let's see if this thing works. There we go.
There we go. Oh, the audio's not playing, but that's okay. The Jaws theme actually plays with this, but we've got the sharks circling around. He's going one way and the sharks are going the other way, and they're trying to get him out there in the ocean.
Yep.
And that's probably it for me because I'm still new at doing the whole diorama thing. I usually make all the parts. I usually don't put the parts together. So anybody's got any questions?
Yeah, Sherry, I've got a question. The earlier diorama that had the kayakers, what scale was that in?
Oh, I'm sorry. All of this is 1/64 scale.
Okay, because I
start
swear
everything
the girl kayaker, it looked like she had actual hair.
well, I painted it really well. I mean, and the hair is actually molded in, so she's got the hair molded in. But all of these are S scale, and I'm pretty sure they're all available in HO, and I can scale them to O if needed. N, I would say I could try, but I won't guarantee I can do them in N because the paddles and stuff are so small.
Well, fantastic job on painting her hair. I really thought it was like Barbie hair or something.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
This one?
No, further back. Yeah, that's it.
Right there. Yeah, that
that's
hair?
the one. Yep.
Yeah, I found this book online about how to paint miniature soldiers, and it talked about doing different layers and highlights. So I was playing around with that, and then I found that with the Army Painter series of paints, they actually have these washes that you can put over, which help put the lines in. It kind of sticks in the lines and comes off the other part. So I was playing with that, trying to get a more realistic feel for hair and stuff. So thank you. That means I succeeded.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
All right. Any more questions for Sherry? All right. Well, thanks for sharing, Sherry. And it adds that the animations definitely add a dimension that we don't often see. So that's good.
You'll be seeing more.
Another piece of what makes my build successful is pulling in something like animations that we don't normally see. So
great. Thank you.
All righty. Next up, we have Jeff Jordan. You up, Jeff?
I'm here, Chris.
All righty. Looks like you've got 5 slides tonight.
Okay. This was a challenge for me to come up with a water subject. I don't usually do that, but you may remember a couple of months ago, I showed a coal barge, and I was over helping operate a friend's HO layout, and he pulled out of his stash a 30-year-old kit of a coal barge. It was pretty much the proverbial box of sticks. And I put it together for him, and he was very happy with it. And I said, barge needs a tugboat to go with it. So I went through my stash and found a kit that's been sitting around for a good 15 years and pulled it out for the tugboat. And this tugboat kit, which is actually from an outfit that's appeared on this program previously, Seaport Models. But this is their old iteration. Today, they do it in laser cut wood. This is resin, and was a challenge to get all of the sides and decks and so forth all to go together. but with a little bit of effort, I got it together, and with a few modifications to the kit. There are a lot of nice brass details on the kit here. You can see the railing on the main up on the deck there, the ladders on 2 levels, the supports for the navigation lights are all photo etched brass, and they wanted them just to be super glued in place. I actually carefully marked them off, drilled, and inserted them into the deck, making them much more secure for the finished model. And while I was working on it, I had, in my HO scale days, had done a lot of Lehigh Valley. And so I said, oh, this is fun. Let's make this into a Lehigh Valley steam tugboat. And I had a dickens of a time finding an actual photograph of a Lehigh Valley steam tugboat, but finally found one and found that it was actually quite close to the model kit. And again, I just made a couple of alterations, including digging through my decal box to get a Lehigh Valley diamond for the stack, and to come up with a name board, which I actually ended up making with my word processor. It's kind of neat that the word processor permits you to flip the background from white to black and to fill the color of the lettering. And so I got that name board you can see on the front, just above the bumper there. It says Lehigh. It also appears on the other side and on the stern. But an interesting challenge to build a tugboat model and somebody who doesn't build a lot of boats. They're actually, I don't know how well, see the next picture here. There is an interior in the pilot house with the wheel and the telegraph and the binnacle. And when you put the model together, they kind of disappeared down. And so I built up the floor to raise them up. And so in person, you can actually see that there's an interior in there. And it's all fitted out per regulation with the appropriate navigation lights and the like. And so I was pretty happy with the finished model, especially considering how warped the resin was when I started with it. I don't remember if I sent you one with the barge in there as well.
I think
next
so.
slide. Oh, okay, good. Oh, there we can see the stern with again, the name board I put on there. The grill work on the back there is a very nice piece of photo etched brass. And you can see that the lifeboat is appropriately rigged on the davits as well, which took a little bit of doing with tweezers to get the line to run the right way and to tie off on the cleats. But I think it really adds to the finished boat. Next slide.
There's your barge.
There she is. Okay. And that's the coal barge, which I had shown you previously. And you can see that this tugboat is actually designed for this kind of work. It's called a boot heel. And that elevated pilot house is designed specifically to give a view over the barges that the tugboat is pushing around. This whole assemblage now resides on my friend's HO scale layout. He has a large HO scale layout with a large portion of it is in New York waterfront on the west side with all kinds of boat activity. And so the barge and tugboat fit right in on the waterfront there. I previously told you about the barge. The barge literally was a box with a piece of wood, a piece of cardboard, a piece of plastic, and some drawings. And you basically had to make all of your own parts to make the deck and the bin for the coal is actually parts cut out of a single sheet of evergreen styrene plastic and then all glued together. And it did come with the little bitty metal fittings. And the coal load I actually made by taking a piece of the styrofoam insulation, carving it to the shape I wanted, painted it black, and then glued on a great deal of coal. And I intentionally picked a fairly coarse grind coal because I thought you can really see the coal load and it looks like a loose coal load. I came out pretty nicely. And it's something you would see around the New York Harbor there, and with a little bit of rust and a little bit of bird droppings and the like. And we got another one from the.
Yeah, whose coal barge is this?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that. The kit was over 30 years old, and is the company is long gone. But literally all, I think it may have been a Sheepscott model, but very, very old. Because literally the hull was a block of wood, and it came with a sheet of cardboard and a sheet of plastic, and the metal castings and the drawings to tell you how to make all your own parts.
Okay, cool.
The tugboat as well, you can see that it's got on the hull the rub rails. Those are all separately applied. With a little bit of guidance from the kit instructions. But considering I don't build a lot of boats, I was pretty happy with the outcome there.
Yeah, I looked, tugboat came out really nice. Actually, they both did.
Thank you.
But
and in the background behind the tugboat there, you can see a little bit of Colorado.
Yeah. All right. Are there any questions for Jeff? All right. Well, thanks, Jeff, for sharing. And we will
Thank
now
you.
move on. Phil Scandura, are you up?
I'm here.
All right. Looks like you've got 8 slides tonight.
All righty. So this is a project that my company did for a museum in Fountain Hills. And the idea was to do vignettes of life along the Verde River. And we'll see all those in a minute.
Okay. Were they in any particular scale? Sorry.
This is G scale.
Okay.
Some of the challenges I'll talk about as we get there, but I do have a disclaimer for everyone. There are no trains, no buildings, and no boats. So.
All right.
And we'll go through these early slides quickly. This is a water tower display that they have that we chose to put the exhibit in. And on the walls, you can see these glass cases, which is what the actual exhibits are in. Next slide. And that's just a different view of it. These are slides out of the proposal to help the customer understand what they were going to get and me understand what I was building. Next. So these are a couple of the inspirations that I used for the work. The one on the left is a river scene off the Verde, and the one on the right is Jack Swilling digging the various canals that made Phoenix possible as far as bringing water to Phoenix, because one of the 4 scenes is a canal scene without any water. Next. So here's 2 of the scenes. As I said, there's no trains, there's no boats, there's no buildings. It's all wildlife and people. The first challenge was that the 3 water scenes, and we'll see see the third one in a second, all represent the same bend in the river. So the idea was that at that particular bend in the river, at some time in the day, the wildlife, or in the evening, the wildlife were out there using the river. At another point in time, the Native American women were out drawing water from the river. And then in a minute, we'll see the other scene. So all 3 of them had to be as close to the same as possible from a modeling standpoint. So it's like trying to build the same model 3 times. Another challenge is the water. You'll notice. Let's go back.
Oh, sure. Sorry. There we go.
Right there. Thank you. The wildlife. The water, you'll see, has no edge. There is no edge of your layout. There's no dam. You're able to see the layers into the water. Getting that to work was quite the challenge. It was using an acrylic, making a wall around the water with an acrylic, adding glue so it wouldn't leak, and it leaked anyway. And then hoping that acrylic would pop off when everything was set. This water product is a was the most recent Woodland Scenics water product that was like water in a box. I think it's a 2-part resin, and there's paints that you can use to tint the water and paints to paint the bottom and so forth. So the first time I'd used that product, I hadn't done water for years. And the last time I did it was with the pellets that you melted with a heat gun, which was their own catastrophe. And I found that that stuff cracks over time, whereas this has been pretty resilient. The animals, the majority of the animal figures are 3D printed from mini prints, the gentleman up in Canada. All of the people, which you'll see more, let's go to the next slide, are all from Sherry and Cat's Paw. And she not only did the printing, but she did the painting for me as well. And the trees are custom made from a gentleman on Etsy, because when you're doing something like this for a client, unlike doing it for yourself, you're kind of on a schedule. You can't take too long, and you have to trade how many hours do I want to spend building trees versus buying a tree that looks close enough. You can, if these were close-ups, you can see into the water. There are fish in the water. There are critters on the bottom of the riverbed in the water. Someone was asking earlier about how you prepare your base before you pour the water product. And of course, you know, you've got the paints that paint the different colors to simulate depths. There's gravel that's been glued down. There's twigs, rocks, so forth. The challenge becomes when you start pouring the water. If you pour it too fast, you get air bubbles that form around those things in the water. So that was also a challenge, trying to get that to work just right. And I think that's it.
I think there's a few more.
There might be a couple of, so these are just seeing the different scenes that are attached to the wall. Those are custom acrylic cabinets that we had built. You've got a curved wall, so all of the cabinets are curved, the shelving is curved, the back of the exhibits are curved, so it was getting the right radius and so forth. But they were very happy with it. It was somewhat nerve-wracking for me because I hadn't done that much water in a long time. I hadn't worked with this product. I probably should have done a test pour on a throwaway, but I just decided to go for broke and just do it. And thank goodness it worked out. Next slide. Is there one more?
Okay.
Oh,
This
that's
is
just
the
me.
last one.
Yeah, that's just me. Any questions?
All right. Well, thanks for sharing, Phil. This once again is a great example of what you can do with the different challenges for the My Builds. So thanks for sharing, Phil.
You're welcome.
And we'll move on. Looks like Gary Shergold is up next. You around, Gary?
I'm here.
Ah, there you are. All right. Looks like you've got 8 slides tonight.
Yeah, this is actually, this is the only water scene on my layout. You've seen my backdrop when I'm on new tracks. Well, at the bottom of the large trestle that's behind me is this water scene. And what happens is water comes off the cliff sides, runs down on the backside of the trestle and drains into this man-made pond. And what happens is the locals gather and do a little bit of canoeing and sunbathing. Next slide. And it's a little bit of a close-up. You can see where they've dammed the water off. A couple of the canoeists in there enjoying the water. The water is Woodland Scenics. Again, it was, the bottom has rocks and sticks and little odds and ends on the bottom of it, and then the water poured over and coloring put in prior to the pouring of the water. Next slide. This is showing the bathers up on the rocks. If you look up to the top left hand, they've got a little bit of a outhouse up there when they have to use that. And just underneath the trees on the rocks are 4 bathers enjoying the sun. The castings are all done myself with different molds that I created off of real rocks, and then they're colored. Next slide. And that's another close-up showing the bathers. The lady on the bed there, she does have a bathing suit on. And then the 2 gentlemen, one's sitting against a rock, and then there's another gentleman laying down on top of the rocks. They're just enjoying themselves. Next slide. Now this is a boat that I had built. I switch every once in a while from railroad modeling and get into building other things. This is a board by board construction. It was a kit I picked up a long time ago. I don't know the name. I started building it. I've never done a board by board before. A little bit challenging. But the boards were, you put a frame together and then start laying the boards in. Next slide.
Okay.
Just a little close up. The engine house is detailed inside. I use that crystal clear for the windows. The stacks that are coming up, which are the fresh air stacks, those were scratch built as the same with the life buoys on the side of the boat, on top of the boat. Next slide. Showing another view. The anchors are hanging. Did the rigging. Windows on the front are also that crystal clear. And I think we have one more.
Yep. Last one.
And it's showing a top view of the boat. Shows you the boards and the doors, windows, some of the rigging.
Did you have to steam the board so that they would fit around the hull, or was it prefabbed, or how did that work?
Yeah, the where you see the cabin area on top, that came as one piece, and it was scribed already. Same with the roof on top of the cabin. It came with the scribe wood and was cut and shaped and then fitted on.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions for Gary? All right. Thanks for sharing, Gary. And we'll move on. Our last person up tonight is Father Ron. You up, Father Ron?
Yep, I'm right here.
All right. Looks like you've got 2 slides tonight.
Okay, this is a couple of water towers. The one on the left with the green roof is from ITLA. And I basically just followed the instructions for it. It is the core is circles that are glued together in a vertical kind of way, and then that outer woodworking, the slats are basically wound around that, and you can see that in the second one, which is from Mind Mount Models. What I did for those is it's just a strip of wood. I haven't weathered them yet to make them look like individual, but it's a strip of wood that's been laser cut, and I stick a cup of water in the microwave and get it to boil, and then throw the strip in, which softens the wood and enables me to wrap it around something first to get sort of the curvature, and then to glue it onto the substructure. Mind Mount Models uses a core of a dowel. It's a 7/8 of an inch dowel. But anyway, I use the rubber bands then to hold it in place while the glue dries. So obviously they still need pipes, the feeder pipe for the water tower. One of the reasons why I got into this is that a lot of buildings, I remember driving into Chicago on the expressway, and you up high to avoid all the railroad tracks down below, you see an awful lot of old water towers on the south side of the city. Maybe they're in use, maybe they aren't in use, but they're still there. And many years ago, that was how water was channeled throughout buildings, was piped up to a water tower and then piped down into the building. So I thought, since a lot of the models we build are from the 40s and 50s, they should have water towers on them. So I decided to start modeling them and find out how they're built, and make models of them, maybe even doing some scratch building of water towers. These are both HO scale. I have one from another manufacturer that's N scale. It's almost exactly the same size as Itla's water tower. So it's going to be interesting to see. I thought maybe a railroad water tower in N scale might be a nice rooftop water tower in HO scale. So we'll see how that looks when I get it built. Next slide. And in many places in the world, a bathroom is called a water closet, a WC. So I built a two-holer here. So I thought we should include that as well. That's something that uses water or needs water somewhere along the line. So this is part of one of Walther's vintage trackside structures. It's a two-holer. So.
Yep.
That's it.
All right. Let's see. Up next, we've got the challenge giveaway. So hey, Phil, do you have the voting up?
I do not.
Okay.
Unfortunately, did not get that up. That was not didn't talk about it. So I didn't get a list or anything. So,
yeah, I thought I'd sent you one.
Oh, well, I tell you what, we're going to have to do it next week then.
Okay. All right. No big deal. All right. We'll get
Sorry.
it next week.
So everybody
Okay.
remember for next week.
All right. And let's see here. Please make sure that you've voted in that survey that we sent out. The next My Build is July 24th and is featuring you. Please get us your photos by, let's see, the 24th. So about the 21st, if you could have those to me, that would be greatly appreciated. That way I can spend a little bit of time getting everything organized and put together. All right. So that was, all right. So yeah, one of the things you're voting on is what the upcoming My Build challenge themes are. So please, I will put that, or Phil, do you have that? You've got a little bit of different link on yours. But this is the link that that Google spit out for me. So please make sure that you go in there and vote on that link, that on those items. That way we can better determine what our future My Build challenges will be. I think tonight we had some good people, sir, some good entries, a lot of different things, and show you what you can do in a lot of different ways with your modeling. So I think that's I guess that's about it, unless anybody has anything to throw in, Greg or anyone.
Chris, let me make one comment here. I don't know whether this would be possible for you and Phil, but is it possible that we could put the survey up on our Facebook group, New Tracks Modeling, so that people could, okay, because you may get more people voting on it that way than just seeing what's in the show here. And the other thing is, I'm wondering, rather than waiting a week and a lot of people may be forgetting in a week what they saw, if we could also do the contest on our Facebook group and let people vote on the Facebook group, as they see it now, rather than waiting a week to vote on that.
Okay. I guess we could do that.
How does that? I mean,
poll. So we'll give that a try. And let me go ahead and I will get the I'll get that up here shortly.
Maybe we could list. Yeah, maybe we could list the different models and who it was and so forth to refresh the people's memories, and then let them vote for which one they want.
Okay.
Now, let me get
the only problem I see is with a Facebook poll is I don't think you can put pictures with the polls.
May not be able to, but maybe a short text, because at least enough who it was and maybe something about the model to refresh people's memory.
Yeah,
it may be the best we can do without the photo, but at least it would be current in their mind, is what I'm thinking, rather than waiting a week for them to come.
All right, I'll see what.
So if we could do that, okay, thank you. And then we'll announce the results next week during the My Build discussion that Chris and Greg have each week, and we'll let you know what they found out about the water or the different subject matter, and also who won the contest for this week. So thanks so much, Chris, Greg. I really appreciate it. And to everybody that showed your models tonight, thanks so much. They were really fantastic. We got a lot of variety, which is great. And I think there was something for everybody to benefit from. So thanks to everybody that showed models this evening. Well, that seems to be our show for tonight. The last thing we have is our caboose. And our caboose is furnished by a birthday boy. One of the people here turned 70 years old. And his wife said, "All right, what do you want me to do for your birthday?" And he said, "Well, there's this place out in Colorado. And out there they got this engine, and I want to ride in the cab of this engine." And so we're fortunate this evening that the birthday boy, Jeff Jordan, who turned 70 years old recently, took a lot of photos. And we're fortunate that he and Phil got together and put together a video for us. But before we show the video, I thought I would turn it over to Jeff and let him tell us a little bit about this fantastic 70th birthday.
Thank you, Jim. Indeed, it was a bucket list item to go to Durango, Colorado, and ride in the cab of K-27 number 473. It's over 100-year-old narrow gauge steam locomotive running from Durango and Silverton. And so I got to ride for 3.5 hours with the crew in the cab of the locomotive, observing them operate the steam locomotive, talk about operating the steam locomotive, and take in the amazing view from the cab of the locomotive, of the scenery and railroad operations. And so I think I tried to spend most of my time taking in the event and not staring through a viewfinder, but I did get some terrific photographs and some bits of video, and Phil has done a nice job of stringing together some of these short videos, bits into a view from the cab. And so I'll leave it at that. I think the video speaks for itself as to what a amazing opportunity this was, and what a breathtaking ride, and for a rail fan, a true bucket list item.
Thank you so much, Jeff and Phil, for sharing your birthday present with us. That was fantastic.
My pleasure.
Well, I'm afraid that's our show for this evening. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Most importantly, I hope you learned something. After all, that's what this show's all about. So thank you so very much for being with us. See you next Wednesday. And until then, best of modeling to you.